Let's talk for a few minutes on becoming a good, competent rifleman in the 21st century. This discussion isn't really going to be about brand or type of rifle so much. This is going to be more on just some key things on how you want to possibly set up your rifle in order to set yourself up to be able to learn and master those core competencies of being a rifleman. So this is an AR pattern rifle here, but this can apply to different patterns of rifles for the most part, whether it's Kalashnikov, G3, M1A, Mini 14, FAL, etc., etc., etc. The thing about it is you want to stay very simple in what you have. The firearms market is a very healthy market at the moment, and there are tons of aftermarket accessories and tons of things that are out there. And they will tell you that, yep, this will help you, this will do this will do that, this is more ergonomic, this will help with recoil control, and I get all that. And there's nothing wrong with all those add-ons. But I think if you're going to do the task of, hey, I want to be a rifleman, I want to get out there and do the thing without making it overly complicated, I think you need to start with a basic rifle platform. Now, with that said, I'm not going to be talking about optics or lights or lasers or D-balls or mauls or anything like that. I'm not going to be talking about any of that stuff. That stuff is great to learn and great to use for self-defense and different tasks, but I'm talking on marksmanship, basic rifleman marksmanship. What type of good rifle should you have? And sometimes people overlook that because they want the shiny, they want the nice, they want the new. So this rifle right here, it's an AR-15. It's a basic AR-15. I have nothing on this that I'm not going to use. Again, this isn't really going to be anything on brand or on barrel length or anything like that, but I'll start with the barrel. No matter what type of rifle you have, I think the barrel should be decently accurate. If you have a trash barrel, then you're going to be defeating yourself on shot number one. When you're trying to sight the rifle in and you're trying to place accurate shots, obviously if you don't have a barrel that can keep up with your accuracy, then you're not doing yourself any favors and you're pretty much just wasting ammo at that point. The standard for accuracy, well, that's going to vary a little bit per rifle. So if I had to put a number on it or a measurement, I would say right around 4 inches at 100 yards. Most modern rifles can do around 4 inches at 100 yards. And I'm talking the Kalashes, all the different variants of the AR-15s, all that good stuff. The Mini 14s, some of the older Mini 14s aren't that accurate, but some of the nicer Mini 14s, I think there are a few that they actually fix the barrel a little bit, the design a little bit, and it's capable of that 4-inch group at 100 yards. But you want to be right around that 4-inch. So if you can get a rifle that's consistently 4-inch, and I don't mean 4-inch 3-round groups, I'm talking like a 4-inch 10-round group. You want that consistency. So if you can have a rifle with that type of accuracy or better, then you're doing good. Most Kalashnikovs are capable of that. I know that. And I know M1As are capable. G3s will pull in 4-inch groups. So will FALs and whatnot. And you can play with the ammo a little bit on that. Keep in mind, a lot of rifles, they tend to like certain types of ammo better than others. But again, you can play with that. So first off, you want to have a good accurate barrel. Now, as far as this design right here, I'm going to focus the rest of this discussion on this particular AR, but again, you can take what I'm talking about and to a certain extent you can apply it on different rifle systems. So first off, no frills. No frills. You can have a light on it, you can do all this stuff, but I find that when you're training yourself to be a very competent rifleman and you're really focused on marksmanship, when you have a basic gun like this AR-15, it's very well balanced. It's lightweight, it balances easy, and it's actually a pleasure to shoot. If you start adding a whole bunch of stuff onto the rail system, you actually add a little bit of weight to the front end, it changes things a little bit. When you're really focusing on getting the core competence of marksmanship down and you're really trying to be accurate out at longer distances with these types of rifles, it helps to start with a well-balanced rifle. You can always move on to that stuff later, in my opinion. Get the core competencies down, get your positional shooting down, all that good stuff, and then you can move on and you can do all kinds of neat, and you can tailor the gun to whatever you want, in my opinion. The type of handguard. For an AR-15, I would say the best type of handguard is the free float, just like this. Free float handguard. That way your handguard is not influencing your barrel at all. When you change positions, you're not creating any type of influence. Now, if you have a basic AR-15 that's not free float, you can use it, that's fine. And other rifle designs out there aren't free float, that's fine. But keep in mind that you may have a little bit of a change. If you put pressure on the sling, if you do a different position, it may influence the barrel a little bit. It just depends. But for this particular platform right here, the AR-15, a free float rail or free float handguard is perfect. So, the sight system on this. What type of sights? What type of sights should you have on here? That is going to be up to the person a little bit. I recommend iron sights, but I understand that some people, vision varies between each person. You may need an optic. Just as long as it's a good optic, a solid optic, you'll be fine. Some people prefer red dots. That's fine too. But I think the core, if you're able to swing it, the core foundation of good rifleman, being a good rifleman, is iron sights. I don't know, that's just me. Maybe I'm old school. I like the idea of being able to line up a good set of irons and hit targets that are 600 yards out with it. I think that's kind of cool. With the iron sights, if you're going to use just iron sights only, like I have right here, set them up so they have the longest distance between the front and rear that you can possible. Just like right here, I have the rear sight all the way at the back of the rifle. I have the front sight all the way up front. This is going to help you as far as your fine-tuning of shots and whatnot. The longer sight radius you have, the better. And the closer you get your sight to the tip of your gun, the better. Along with that, iron sights, you want them fixed, in my opinion. Now, there are a lot of good backup irons, the folding irons out there. There's a lot of good ones. I know like Knight's Armament makes some, Troy makes them and whatnot. But for absolute robustness, I guess, if that's a word, or for absolute consistency, instead of having something that swivels and flips up, I want something fixed, something that's there. Especially if I'm just using iron sights only, there's no reason for me to have flip-up sights. Another plus with that is this sight right here. You can see it's set up, it's like an A2 rear sight. So you have a lot of adjustment to it. You've got a lot of windage to it. You have your presets for elevation. You have your elevation adjustment on the front. I can get a lot more adjustment out of this than I would with a backup iron sight. And I'm talking, when I say backup iron sight, I mean the flip-up types. And where it benefits is when I'm ranging, and maybe if I'm developing a range card or something, and I want to get what my figure out what my shots are as far as holdover and whatnot at different ranges. So if I want to set this where I have a 0 at, let's say, 300 yards, and I want to shoot 400 yards, I can use the A2 adjustments right here, and I can mark it, and I can get a little bit of dope set up and figure out where I need to be at 400, 500, 600, 550, what have you, whatever you want to do. So I like that. It gives me a little bit of options. So that way I can really learn the rifle platform. Now, there are some flip-up sights that do that as well. The ones that I think of are from Knight's Armament. There is the Troys adjust a little bit as well. And I think there's a couple other high-end. I think Daniel Defense has a few as well. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. But that adjusts really well for the flip-ups. But again, stick with your standard sights right here. So moving back from the sights, as far as a stock goes, I prefer a stock that is fixed. A fixed stock that is good for your length of pull, I think, will be the best. And the reason I say that is a collapsible stock is great and they're accurate. They're not 100% as robust as a fixed stock is, in my opinion. They're not as comfortable to me, depending on the stock. There's some good collapsible stocks out there. And you have to make sure with the collapsible stock that you have it set at the right location every time when you shoot. So that way you're not changing anything at all with the rifle. Because with a collapsible stock, if you sight in your rifle and you do everything in one setting and then all of a sudden you change the length of pull, that's going to change things a little bit. A lot of people don't realize that. So I prefer a fixed stock. This one is just from Magpul. It's a fixed stock that goes over the carbine buffer tube. So I have an adjustable style buffer tube underneath this, but I just put this on and it stays, and it works fine. And I may actually trade this out or buy an actual A2 style, or better yet, an A1 style fixed stock, because the A1 has a little bit better length of pull in my opinion. I may get that for this and just kind of change it up that way. But I think that's really important. As far as a sling, just get a typical 2-point sling. It doesn't have to be fancy. This is a nylon Magpul 2-point sling. Pistol grip, you don't need to change anything unless you want to. If you have big hands like me, there are other grips out there that are a little bit better, that fills the hand a little bit better. That may benefit you. This one works just fine for me, the standard A2, but there's a lot of good ones from Magpul and whatnot. They fill the hands a little bit better. Change the angle a little bit, that may help you out. Magazines, just basic magazines. You want good, basic, either aluminum or the polymer magazines, 30 round, 20 round, it doesn't matter. Just don't get a whole bunch of magazine links and couplers and all this stuff so you don't start adding a whole bunch of weight to the gun, which could throw the balance off. So that's pretty much it. The rifle you want to keep simple. And keep in mind, I'm not telling you to not have an AR-15 with a light on it and stuff like that. There's obviously a lot of good benefit to that. But what I'm saying is, when you're trying to get out there and do positional shooting, which I mean from kneeling, from sitting, from prone, shooting off of a rest, shooting standing, and you're doing it at longer distances, it really helps to have a well-balanced, simple rifle, because you're going to focus all of your energy on just getting those shots in, and you're not too worried about fighting the rifle. So just think about that. I am a firm believer, if you get an AR-15 for the first time, get something like this configuration right here. Basic configuration. Just do the basic deal. Get out there, learn how the gun works, become very competent with the gun, and then you can turn around and do other things with it if you so choose. Just keep in mind, whenever you add anything onto the gun, you change it. So any lights, lasers, forward grips, hand stops, all that stuff, it changes it a little bit, and you need to go back out and deal with those changes, learn from those changes, shoot the rifle, and make sure you're not changing anything on it. So anyway, I've been going on for 13 minutes, and I hope this video hasn't been too boring. But the basics of the rifle, again, just to summarize, a barrel, figure about 4 inches at 100 yards or better. And if it's just a little bit more than 4 inches, no biggie. I know there are some rifles that shoot 4.5 inches, 5 inches at 100. That's still pretty good. That's still headshots at 100 if you're trying to look for a reference. So that's still headshots at the length of a football field. That's pretty good. So you want to have, make sure to have a barrel that's capable of at least that or better. You want to have a good free float rail if possible. That way you don't have any influence on the barrel as you put pressure on that rail. The sights, iron sights, fixed iron sights with good adjustment capability on them, very solid. That's obviously going to be one of the most important parts of the rifle. You want to have a good sight radius if possible. You make it as long as possible. That's another benefit of having a good free float rail, is you can really stretch those sights out and have an awesome sight radius. A fixed rear stock, I think, is a good plus, as long as it meets your length of pull. Everybody's length of pull is different, so you want to make sure you have a good fixed stock that benefits you. A bigger person would probably benefit from an A2 length. A smaller person may benefit from something a little bit smaller, an A1 length or something modified. But you can use the collapsible stocks. Don't take this as me saying you can't use a collapsible stock. You can, but you'll just get a little bit more consistency out of a fixed stock, in my opinion. The pistol grip, make sure it fits your hand, and you don't need to go fancy with it. But just make sure it fits your hand, because that's really going to benefit as far as your trigger work on the rifle. Magazines, keep them simple. 20, 30 round magazines, nice and lightweight. Don't worry about adding a whole bunch of other stuff on it. As far as reliability on the rifle, I didn't really go over, but that's kind of a given. You want the rifle to be reliable, so that way you're not fighting with the rifle when you're trying to devote your energy to actually becoming a great marksman. The sling, just a standard 2-point sling. That's all you need. There are a lot of neat slings out there, but a 2-point sling will get you by. I mean, everybody still uses 2-point slings. I won't discount the benefits of having 3-pointers or 1-pointers or all that good stuff, but I guess I'm a 2-point sling guy. I say just keep it simple with the sling. So with that said, again, I didn't really go over whether you want a muzzle brake versus a flash hider. I didn't do any of that stuff because to me it's irrelevant. When you're shooting for marksmanship, you're not doing a whole lot of fast, rapid fire, so-called tactical engagements. All you're doing is you're just shooting. In my opinion, if you're trying to be a rifleman, you're trying to get out there and really achieve good marksmanship, you're worried about one shot at a time. You can get faster as you get better, but as you start off, you're firing one round at a time. So I don't really care if there's a muzzle brake on it or if there's no barrel attachment on it. I don't really care. It's one shot at a time. Get that round on target, reset, do it again, reset, do it again. It's kind of like bowling. Everybody knows when you go out to bowl, the whole idea is if you bowl a strike and your technique is really good on that particular throw, then your whole goal is, okay, how do I replicate that every single time? Same thing with rifle shooting. Once you get the proper technique down and you start making consistent hits, you figure out how can I replicate that at different distances, at different positions, under different conditions, all that good stuff. So in any case, that's enough yammering out of me for this particular video. I'll make more videos talking about different aspects. I just wanted to focus this more on keeping this thing set up simple. The key word is simple and effective. Think of it as if you were to take an AR-15 or whatever type of rifle choice that you decide. If you're going to take it out and you're going to be the rifleman in the woods, it's the end of the world, and you just have a basic rifle in the woods, how would you have it set up? And just kind of go from there. So anyway, feel free to put your thoughts in the comment section below. I know this is kind of a long video. I typically don't make videos this long, but it's kind of an important subject. I think as a whole, a lot of shooters need to get back to that mindset of one round at a time, hit your target. There's a lot of controlled pairs, a lot of fast shooting, a lot of tactical shooting, which is awesome. It's great, and everybody should train it. But sometimes it pays to slow down and go, wait a minute. How do I engage this 250-yard target with one round and one round only? Can you do it? Can you get out there and range a target without having to use anything like a rangefinder? And that'll be stuff that I get into in different videos. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching as always. Stay safe, stay healthy, all that good stuff. Subscribe, like, you know the drill. All right, thank you.